Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 173. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Messiah.
Hello.
And no Isley this week. He's out of town, unfortunately. But we do have a lot to go over with Gamescom that happened this week. We had the opening night live. We're going to cover that. But first, before we get into the list of some things that were announced there, I want to highlight some other stories. So Final Fantasy 16's PC port officially is announced with a September release date and demo. That happened this week. So it'll come out on September 17th, 2024 on PC.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, you're going to replay it on PC?
I don't think my computer can handle it, but I might just replay it anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the PC specs to see what you needed, but yeah, I'll be curious like how quickly mods will come out, because I feel like I've seen like so many outfit mods for FF7, the remake and stuff and whatnot. And I'm like, I wonder how many people are going to make like we got to make Clive's chest line just a little more visible. like how much is that going to, how quickly will that happen? But yeah, so PC players look forward to that. Microsoft also announced the second wave of games coming to Xbox Game Pass in August, obviously including the Black Ops 6 open beta. Atlas Fallen is another one. That's a game that back prior to its release, I was interested in. It was kind of that open world sand game with some nice looking movement. I think it came out, it got about 7. I think the combat wasn't like, it was decent, but yeah, it was nothing to write home about. But it was a pretty solid open world action RPG. Because at the time I think there was some more stuff. I was like, I'll wait until it plays later, but maybe I'll check it out on Game Pass since I still have my Game Pass activated. And then Core Keeper will be coming on August 27th. So go ahead and play that. Star Trucker as well. And then they have some other, I think they might have some other small stuff in there, but that's kind of the main things. But yeah, the Gamescom, that's the big thing that happened this week. So there was a lot of stuff shown, announced at the opening night live. We're not going to cover everything because we're not necessarily interested in everything. But we will cover a handful of stuff that happened. One of the things being that Borderlands 4 was officially announced with a CG trailer. And it's interesting because I was thinking back with the Borderlands 3 announcement, like they opened it up with a track by Two Fingers called Fool's Rhythm. And it was more like these gray renderings of characters, and it was kind of like spinning around, going out, and you start to realize like, oh, these are all Borderlands characters, and it pulls out, and like you can, I think it does like the Psycho mask, and it's like Borderlands 3. And then like a couple days later, they had the official like trailer for it, which like was the story trailer and everything. So this trailer was a little different. I guess I never finished. I was on the last mission of Borderlands 3 and I never finished it. But I guess like at the end of that, like Lilith like teleports the whole planet away to some other part in the universe, and I guess that's how this trailer kind of opens. Is the planet, you see the Phoenix, planet shows up, it starts crashing through like this weird, interesting barrier. It almost looked like it was like breaking reality when I was first watching. I was like, is that what this is doing? Like it's breaking dimensions. It was really cool visually, and then a bunch of stuff's coming off the planet, crashing down onto this new planet, and then this one meteorite, and it turns out it's the Psycho mask, and like a robotic hand reaches out and picks it up and turns it over, and you realize, oh, it's a Psycho mask. This is Borderlands if the Phoenix at the opening wasn't obvious. And I thought that was interesting, robots. But I guess the idea too is that there's this ancient race in Borderlands that they talk about a lot. I forget the name of them. You fight some of them in Borderlands 3. I wish I could remember the name. It's been so long. But I think the idea is that maybe that's who you'll be fighting, is like the actual like base version of them, like the strongest that kind of left, and there's gonna be like some sort of war. So I'll be curious to see, because the trailer, like the tone of the teaser is very different than kind of Borderlands normally. So I'm wondering like, okay, well, what's the next trailer going to be? Is that going to be, okay, here's more of that tone that we're used to with Borderlands, like tons of guns with legs, yada yada.
Guns with legs.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm interested in that. I know a lot of people are kind of burnt out on Borderlands, but I still think they're fun to play. Not every joke landed in Borderlands 3, but I just still like that gameplay loop. So I'll look forward to playing 4, probably with my cousin, maybe with Isley. Then we had a trailer for Dying Light the Beast, which I guess was teased earlier. And luckily I haven't been paying attention to social media, so I miss any teases and stuff like that. But it's interesting because it's Kyle Crane from the first game, which after the end of the following, like he starts to turn into one of the creatures if you don't take I think if you destroy the facility at the end of the following. Then he gets out. He starts to turn, and there's like a little family there, and that kind of hits that. Oh, he's about to murder this family with these kids and whatever, and it fades to black because he can't control himself turning. But then if you side with I think they call her the Night Mother in the DLC. I'm not sure if the same thing happens, but it seems like they're kind of going with he stops the events of the following. He is turning, but he's kind of come to control that part of himself, maybe. But he still looks kind of human, even though you should kind of turn more into the creepy monsters that are the volatiles that are in Dying Light. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But I like the idea that you're kind of more mutated. Maybe you have more powers, like you're to be reckoned with. Like the enemies should kind of fear you, and there's the normal humans are going to be more scared. You'll have a lot of power over them, and probably some of the regular zombie like creatures, but maybe not the bigger volatiles. But that looks fun. It's supposed to be about a 25 hour campaign, which sounds nice. Standalone, you don't need the other games. Co-op still. So I'll be looking forward to that. I like the Dying Light games. Then there was a bunch of other stuff. They showed some gameplay for Dune Awakening, which I'm really curious how that game's going to do, because I watched it like, oh, this is very like, run around, collect resources, there's other people, there's a hub, build a base. I'm like, okay, this is the usual open world stuff in the Dune skin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, nothing unique to me is standing out here, but we'll see if how that ends up.
Not like an innovative thing. It's just like, here's a established kind of genre, but now it's Dune. So
yeah,
here's some lore for you.
Yeah, which could work, because we've talked about this before, and we're going to talk about it again later, or at least I will. It's like there could be games where like genres that you might not be interested in, but once it gets hit with an IP that you like, that's kind of what pulls you into it. So there's that. Then we also had a trailer for a game called Reanimal, which I believe is by the same folks who did. It's from Tarsier Studios, who I think are the same people behind Little Nightmares, right? Yeah, they did Little Nightmares 2 for sure, and now they're doing this game, which looks a little darker than Little Nightmares. Like Little Nightmares has some dark imagery, but it's not as dark. But Reanimal definitely seemed like a much darker version of that kind of gameplay style. But we did also have Little Nightmares 3 announced as well, which is interesting. I never did finish, or I didn't start. I think I have Little Nightmares 2. It might have been like part of PS Plus at one point. But yeah, this one's being developed by Supermassive. Did Supermassive do the? I'm curious if they did the first one, and then because who made? Because Tarsier did 2. I'm assuming Tarsier did 1 as well. I wonder why Supermassive is doing Little Nightmares 3. Let's see, who did Little Nightmares? Tarsier did Little Nightmares 1 and 2. So I'm wondering why Supermassive is doing it. Are they owned? Let's see, who owns Tarsier Studios? Let's find out here. Tarsier. Oh, that's not what I want. I want the wiki, man. Give me the wiki. Yeah, Tarsier. They're a subsidiary of who? They don't say. Darn it, I can't see who owns them. Instead, I found a publisher. Yeah, I know Bandai Namco published. Yada yada. They made some other things. Okay, yeah, I can't. It seems like they're kind of all over the place. Reanimal's being published by THQ, so it seems like, yeah, because Bandai Namco published Little Nightmares, Nintendo published that Nintendo Switch game, The Stretchers. Bandai Namco then did Little Nightmares 2. THQ Nordic's doing Reanimal. So I'm curious why Supermassive is doing Little Nightmares 3. Does THQ Nordic own both of them now? Is that something I missed? No, I don't see them on the list. I don't know. Who knows? I'll have to dig in that more, but that is coming out, so we'll see how that goes. New studio taking on an existing IP, though. Be curious to see how it performs, but I'll definitely have to play Little Nightmares 2 at some point. But then we had another trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, which I believe got a. What was new about this? This because some of the trailers at the show were release date trailers. Did this get a release date, or was just another one for Monster Hunter Wilds?
I don't recall there being a release date, unless I totally missed it. They've been posting on their social medias, like announcing what weapons are going to be available and kind of like a demo video of what's going to be in there. But I don't recall there being a release date, because I think I would have noted it down, unless I just totally spaced out on it.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up here. But yeah, I know that it was playable there. Like a lot of people played it, and they've all said great things about that game. Of course, I think the fans of Monster Hunter are gonna like typically most of the games in that franchise. I'm trying to see here. Scrolling through this list here. Let's see. Yeah, no date. We just know it's 2025. But it's just a. I guess there was some spiders in the trailer. I didn't see that.
There are
Yeah.
spider enemies in Monster Hunter. That's always been a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, no date, just another trailer for it. So, but yeah, it is there to play, so people are playing it. I think maybe they showed some more characters, because I did see some tweets going around about some other characters in that game.
I have been watching the weapon trailers that they've been releasing. I've never been like a huge Monster Hunter person.
Mm-hmm.
I did play, of course, Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2, because I think that's a really adorable take on the Monster Hunter kind of ethos. Like, the whole point of the game is to farm monsters, and in this game you're like, I'm friends with them. But I think mostly because I've been playing Monster Hunter now on my phone recently, just because it's something to do, like, while I'm doing things at work. And there's no insect glaive in that game. I'm like, fuck, I really want to play with insect glaive. And then they showed a trailer for it in Wilds, and I was like, okay, I want to play it now.
Yeah. And then there was another game you highlighted called Herdling that was announced. It's from the creators of Far Lone Sails, and you're herding like big, fluffy yak-like creatures. It's coming out in 2025. And this is a Zaya game?
This is a Zaya coded game. Also, it's being published by Panic, who did Goose Game, and Thank Goodness You're Here. So far they haven't really published a bad game, it seems. They seem very selective about like the type of things that they're gonna put their name behind. So I have a feeling it's gonna be adorable. Probably sad at some point, but it's gonna be really adorable and just kind of like, it seems very relaxing and fun. So yeah, it's a very Zaya coded game, and I want to play it.
Yeah. Then there was also a surprise, and I forgot there was even a second one of this game, but Monument Valley 3 was announced. There, made by developer Us2 Games in collaboration with Netflix. It'll be exclusive to Netflix and their game platform. It launching December 10th, but I completely forgot that there was a Monument Valley 2.
I think it was Apple Arcade exclusive.
That sounds like it would make sense.
Because I didn't play it, and I think that's why I didn't play it.
Yeah. And I've heard that there are some good things on that Netflix gaming platform, but like everything I heard from back when they first announced it and there was games on there, like people were always telling like, oh, trying to figure out how to get there was a little weird. Like, how do I access these games? But yeah, there's supposed to be some good stuff on there. But yeah, that's coming out December 10th. I've never actually played Monument Valley. It's one of those games like I knew about the first one, especially because everybody loved it. But I never picked it up. I wonder how many more platforms it's on now. I guess I can go back.
I think it's on Steam.
Yeah, maybe I'll play it on there.
Yeah, they're adding both of them onto the Netflix. I'm just annoyed. Like, it's like the streaming platform issue all over again. Like, why do I need 8 different streaming platforms to figure out like where to watch the specific thing? Now I'm doing the same thing with games. Like, just why? I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
I want to play Monument Valley 3, but I don't want, when it comes out, I'm going to have to figure out, like, first of all, how do I get to this platform? And what, like, I need to find the login information because it's changing constantly, or always changing the login for Netflix. I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed by it for personal reasons. But still.
Yeah. And then they had Civ 7 was shown officially. We all knew it was kind of in the works. That's coming out the 11th of February, 2025. And it was confirmed that, oh my gosh, I had it here and then I lost it. Oh my goodness. Gwendolyn Christie's going to be voicing the narrator in Civ 7.
Yeah.
Sean Bean was the voice person for Civ 6. And then William Morgan Shepherd was Civ 5, who I don't have any memory of what they sounded like because I'm so used to Sean Bean and Civ 6. I played a bunch of Civ 6. But yeah, Gwendolyn Christie will be the narrator for Civ 7. I know there's a lot of previews up. It seems like Sid Meier has always had this idea for the Civ games of like keep a third, change a third, and have a third of it new. Like was kind of their philosophy for the Civ games, which made sense. Like you can reiterate on stuff that really worked, keep some stuff that worked but don't change it, and then just add new stuff. But it seems like with this one, they're kind of changing a lot more. I was watching a YouTuber by the name of Potato McWhiskey, who's a big Civ player, who I watch every now and then, and he was talking about his time with the game and how kind of obviously it's very early what they're playing, the build they're playing, so a lot of the balance stuff and everything could change. But he's saying like there are a lot of the positive, like the pros and cons of what he played as a veteran Civ player, and it seems like that is generally the sentiment across a lot of the Civ players. Is like there's a lot of really good and there's a lot of really I don't know if I like this right now, but maybe they'll change as the game comes out at launch. And I feel like a problem with the Civ games too is at least not so much for 6, but like Civ 5 when it came out, like Civ 4 had a bunch of expansions and changes to the kind of the gameplay that really made it shine. But then Civ 5 comes out and it kind of like because of that development philosophy, kind of like seems like kind of starts over with a lot of basic stuff that you're used to, but it kind of regresses a bit. Where when the Civ game launches, it's like it's not as good as where the last game ended, but as more expansions for it come out, it really starts to flesh out and improve and become really good. Civ 6 launched in a much better place than where Civ 5 started, but it also did improve with each of the new expansions for Civ 6. So I'm curious what Civ 7 is going to be like, and even the Potato McWhiskey says, he's like, like this is how it goes to Civ. Like it'll come out, it won't be the best it's going to be, but it'll improve over time. But I'm really curious how it's going to be at launch. I'll play for sure because I like the Civ games. But I mean, it looks good, which is nice. I mean, it's a 4X game, so it's not going to be too crazy visually, but versus what like Civ 6 looks like. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun. Then there was a trailer for Starfield Shattered Space just saying, hey, the release date's coming out September 30th. But then it was like way too focused on their buggy vehicle for like the entire trailer, which is so weird. And I was like, what is this, man? I was like, I guess, yeah, let's make a whole trailer about a vehicle. But hey, if that's what players want, go for it.
Like, look at this buggy. Don't you love this buggy? You've been asking for this buggy.
Yeah, it was such a weird trailer. And then Indiana Jones, The Great Circle had another trailer. I didn't watch it, but I know at the end of it, they announced that it's coming out December 9th, 2024. And then they did confirm that in spring of 2025, it'll be coming to PS5. So there's that. And then they also, it's interesting, they had a pre-show, it's about a half hour. And in the pre-show, they showed a game called, new Sniper Elite game called Sniper Elite Resistance, which I saw and I was like, ooh, I like this. So it's not a mainline Sniper Elite game. It's not Sniper Elite 6. And it's interesting about those games is like each one is like going through the years. It's like 1939, 1940, or I think they even go back as maybe the first one is in even earlier than that, like right before the war, like Intel Gathering perhaps. But anyways, it's like each game's like, okay, it's the next year. And like even this one's like it's 1944. I'm like, okay, so we're getting close to the end of the war here. But I'm assuming maybe Sniper Elite 6 will be 1940. I can't remember if Sniper Elite 5 was 43 or 44, but I mean, I love the Sniper Elite game, so I'll play that one. I still haven't finished 5. I should probably go back and finish it somewhere, but I do like those games. And then there was also a game I saw that looked interesting. It's called, not a great name, it's called Roadcraft, but it's like, natural disaster hits a town, flooding essentially, landslides. And then the game is you go in there and rebuild the town. Like you fix the roads, everything. You do all the stuff. I'm like, that seems like, because there's a lot of construction simulator games out there. Like I was watching Michael L. Fox on Twitch the other day, and he was playing one of those with Sips, and they were playing like a construction game. It's like a city builder or whatever. And I was like, okay, so there's clearly a market for this game, and it does look interesting. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how when that comes out. And then I know Unknown 9 Awakening dropped a release date of October 18th. That's a game I'm curious about. So I'm kind of keeping. I didn't want to watch too. It was a live action trailer, so I didn't. You know, it's not too much spoilers for what's going on in the game, but they didn't announce the release date. I am very interested in that game. I'll be paying close attention to it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's like I said, there's a lot of stuff. There's the Batman Arkham Shadow VR thing. There was Infinity Nikki Arc Raiders. Well, Arc Raiders was like it's a PvPvE thing, but it was like no gameplay. It was just a short little trailer. I know in the pre-show they announced Revenge of the Savage Planet, which is a Journey to the Savage Planet sequel. So I'll be interested in that. It does have co-op, which I'm curious about because Journey to the Savage Planet was fun. It was an interesting game. It was kind of like you're just kind of exploring and documenting. Like there is some combat, but that's like not necessarily the focus of it. You're just like exploring this planet, trying to fix your ship, and whatnot. So I'm curious what it'll be, what the gameplay loop is going to be like in this one. Because I did enjoy it. Like it's a fun little game. Look good, but and then yeah, not like I said, there's a handful of other things, but I didn't track everything down here. But yeah, it was a good show. Oh, the last thing that it's game related that was announced was Secret Level. So Tim Miller came out, the team behind Love, Death, and Robots, which is like an anthology sci-fi series that I like a lot. They're doing essentially the same thing for video games, and there's like a bunch of studios. It's like 15 different short stories that they partnered with multiple different studios to make little shorts. So you got like, the Sifu, there's Sony's in there, and you can clearly see God of War, Jin Sakai, as well as Concord. And then they've got Armored Core. Apparently Keanu Reeves is going to be a pilot in Armored Core. They've got Warhammer is in there, Mega Man, Pac-Man. I think D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, in there as well. But yeah, I'm interested in that. That comes out soon too. I think they said the 11th of December on Amazon. So it's interesting that this one's with Amazon, but Love, Death, and Robots was with Netflix. So I'm one of just like, I mean, not that it matters. So I'm curious why. I guess because Amazon does have, because they do have New Worlds, and Amazon is the one who made New Worlds. So that's going to be one of the games in there. But the only thing that's interesting is that with Love, Death, and Robots, it was kind of like, and obviously this show came out later, but the Star Wars anthology show, the anime one, I forget what it's called. I'm blanking on the name, but like that, like went out to like different animation studios and said, hey, you want to make an episode? And like they make it. So in Love, Death, and Robots, like some were like realistic CG, like blur, and the other ones were like a little more cartoony looking. Like they're all like kind of different art styles, but it seems like with this, it's just all very similar art styles for each of the shorts. So all very kind of realistic looking CG, and not too much difference in their art styles. So I'm curious if that will not necessarily detract, because obviously in this case it seems like there were some good stories in Love, Death, and Robots, but there were some like the stories are okay, but the animation style was really cool. There are some really fun ones there. Even if the story was kind of like not up your alley, you could still enjoy the animation. So I'm curious how that'll go here. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in Secret Level. It'd be cool if they had like I guess they really couldn't do a Final Fantasy story, but if they could, maybe if they have a season 2 or something. But yeah, last time it looks like Kratos is in the modern day. So I'm like, but it's big bearded Kratos from the new God of War. So I'm like, I mean, the way God of War 1 ended, it's like he's a God of War forever, and like it shows like World War I, World War II, and all that stuff like kind of flashed in the background, like he oversees it all. But then of course, God of War 2, that's not the case. He just cuts shortly after, and he's bored. So it'll be interesting to see like what is this him traveling realms? Like how does he get to this? Like is this after the end of Ragnarok, where he's just kind of exploring, and like does he somehow go to the future on Yggdrasil? Like I don't know what happens. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I wonder if they'll release all at once, or if it'll be like, here's a couple episodes, like every week it's a couple episodes. But because if it's all of them, it's like, man, that's a lot of content to watch, especially if they're only like 15 minutes each, and they're short films. It'll be not too bad, I guess. But yeah, that was a Gamescom. Of course, there's more previews and stuff going on. Like I said, a bunch of other games that we didn't necessarily cover in here. Yeah, go ahead and check out all that stuff from there. If you're interested in Mafia, look at Mafia: The Old Country. But that's pretty much everything at Gamescom. All right, well, we can go ahead and move from there to what we've been playing. I saw you were playing Honky. You're playing Honky Star Rail right now.
Honky Stonky Rail.
Yeah, but you were playing it the other day as well. I saw you in
Mhm.
there. You got rickrolled.
I don't. It got worse from there. I just stopped
no.
screenshotting it. It was like video games were a mistake, actually.
That's funny. So is there?
Yeah.
What do you do in like? Are you doing? Does that game have like weeklies or dailies or?
Oh,
What
yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're doing in there.
It's got compared to like when it launched. I mean, obviously, it's got more content from compared to when it launched, but it's. I mean, it's got a ton of like repeatable content too that you can do for either weekly rewards or daily rewards or just like side content you can do to get like gear for your characters and just all kinds of stuff. So basically what I've been doing recently is they introduced a new like it's so hard to explain, like a new simulated universe thing where it's like it's not the main game, it's just kind of the side thing that you do and you get these different buffs depending on like what you do in it and what random things you encounter. It's kind of like a roguelite within the game itself. But they introduced a new one where you can basically play any character that you have fully maxed out, and like all of their stats are maxed out, their levels are maxed out, all of their like gear is maxed out and everything. So it's just a really interesting way to test party makeups and play characters that you have but you haven't really built up or you don't have the resources to build up. So I've been doing that, just kind of playing characters that I don't typically play or that I don't have in my parties because they're just not built up or anything like that. So I'm just testing like party comps and stuff like that. It's actually super, super fun. But other than that, I haven't really been doing much else. I've just been kind of popping onto Monster Hunter Now several times a day because I am doing a lot of walking between buildings at work. So it's a good excuse to like play that and Pokemon Go and stuff like that. Playing Honkai Star Rail. And then we bought Black Myth Wukong, but I haven't played it myself yet. Michael's been playing it and been watching him play it. It's really fucking good. I'm really glad that it's good. We were kind of worried that it had all this hype build up as far as like the graphics and stuff like that, which are absolutely gorgeous. We were worried it wasn't going to be that good of a game, but it's pretty fucking good. It's pretty fun looking.
So what I hear, it's been doing numbers on Steam, and I was like, oh, look how much better it's doing, or just in general, it's like look how much better it's doing than Elden Ring, or what was the other game they're comparing it to? Some other game, like it's Cyberpunk, I think maybe. It's like, oh, it's blowing these games out of the water. It's like, yeah, I mean that. Sure, that's fine. Like, why
it's also a different fucking game? So
yeah,
your comparison is just you're bitter, is what it is, or something. I don't know what your fucking deal is, but it's a totally different type of game. And we were actually talking about it while he was playing. Like, obviously, the last like console thing he had played was Elden Ring, so he had to switch the control scheme to be more Elden Ring-ish because. By default, he uses the face buttons more than the triggers, so he had to switch it to be the triggers. But after that, it was totally fine. But we were talking about he has to like get out of the Elden Ring mindset because it plays a little bit more. I would say like the newer God of Wars type of thing, where like a little nuance that I noticed in particular was the bosses tend to not whip around mid combo and punch you in the face for no reason. It seems like. So, like, when they start a chain combo or a specific attack that looks like a combo, they'll just continue in that direction. Whereas, like, Elden Ring, that boss would have whipped around 3 different directions during that combo and been just completely utter bullshit. So it's like, you have to get out of that mindset of playing it like a Souls game or comparing it to a Souls game, because it's totally different.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I don't know if I'll end up picking it up. I wasn't like even when it was first announced, like okay, no, this style, like nothing like these kind of games looks like a Souls game, in the initial previews, but it's just like I never had it on like my wish list or anything. But people love it. I've watched some people play it. Watched Dan Tag play a bit of it. I know that they teamed up with Liza P a while back, and they put one of the weapons from it in Liza P. You can get if you start a new game. I see a lot of new players on Twitch who end up using that because like it's a really good dex weapon that you just get from the start. But yeah, just doing real well. So it's good to see. Even if they had that really weird requirement for streaming for streamers at the beginning, and then everybody
yeah.
Yeah.
The devs have had their fair share of, we'll just say, controversy in the last like couple months leading up to the release. But I mean, the way that I look at it is like, if you leaked internal documents or if every dev said what they really think at any point, you probably wouldn't play any video game ever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's whatever. I'm at the point now where it's like, I'm not going to shun an entire team's worth of work just because of one stupid idiot. Or the management in every game studio is
exactly
god
like
awful.
it's probably it's not Jane Doe artist. It's like it's the management. It's that or even the government. Like it's that kind of thing. It's like it's not on them. It's like they're beholden to the laws in the country. It's like in every country's different. It's like you gotta come to terms with that, man. Like it's tough.
It sucks, but also I don't know. It just is what it is. So
yeah, but yeah. I mean, like I said, seems to be a great game, huge hit. So it's always nice to see a new IP. Well, based on an existing IP, I can say, but new game.
Yeah. It's cool to see. Like, you don't necessarily get a faithful recreation of that story very often, so it's pretty cool to see it. Like, obviously they know what they're talking about and they know the source material kind of thing, more from just a surface level, like general understanding that most people have. So it's been really cool to see like little things from the stories, and it's kind of cool too because Michael's actually read most of the stories. So he's like, oh, this is from that, or I don't understand why they're doing this because in the story, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know as much of it, but I haven't played it myself yet, but I think I'm going to let him get a little bit further in it and kind of see a little bit more because I'm worried about bugs, as always.
Yeah.
I was like, if you encounter anything disgusting, let me know when I need to stop playing.
Exactly.
The reason that I let him play the Elden Ring DLC and got further than I did for a while.
Got to curate it for you.
Yeah. I was like, I need you to sanity check this for me.
They need like those websites that are like, when to pee during a film when you're in the theaters. Like, oh, you can take a break between after this scene because this is, talking. We tell you what they talk about. Like, that's when you can go to the bathroom. They need like that for like a game. Like, when's the bug show up? Like, no spoilers, but when you get to zone named, bug hole, like there's some bugs in there. Like, we should start that kind of website.
Yeah, I need like a warning sign, or I just need it like up front, like that Luma Island game that I was looking at. I was like, oh, I'll go check it out in Steam. I will not be playing this game, actually. Yeah. So it's like, just put it up front.
Right. Yeah, it seems like the next level of not even like accessibility, but just description tags. Like, okay, yeah, great. It's solo. It's got co-op. Like, put which phobias this is going to trigger. Like, give me the trigger warning words or something like that. And of course,
I think there is like on Does the Dog Die? I think there's a similar thing, but it's not. I think it just says like this game has it. It doesn't necessarily say when or where, kind of thing. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at it in a while, but yeah, I think there is something already kind of similar. It's just not as like detailed, like you were saying, hey, when you get to this point or once you see this boss or something, just know that the bug is coming.
I played a little bit of No Man's Sky earlier this week. Just going around. At one point I was like, you know what, let's when you go to the anomaly station, like it, and you go to the teleporter, like it puts, because that's where all the people are, like it'll load like other player bases, and it's like, oh, featured bases. And I'm like, you know what, let's go to one of these bases, see where it is. And like it sent me across the galaxy, of course. And I get there's like, it's a ridiculous base. I'm like, I don't know why this is here. Like, who has the time to build this? So like I got out of it. It's kind of like a maze thing. Went up to the space station, but then when I went out of it, it was like, oh, my cousin. I saw my cousin's name. It's like they're over here. I'm like, that's weird. I didn't know he was online, and that it would show other player. Like, I don't think I've ever ran into another player in the game outside of just playing co-op. And so I see his ship. It's over by the space station, so I fly there. But like his ship is like on the outside of the space station. The space station's got kind of like a weird design to where his ship shouldn't be there, and you can't fly there. Like you take damage, so it's like it's glitched or something. But I went
weird.
inside. I'm like, maybe he's inside. It's just got a weird glitch. I didn't see him anywhere. I couldn't see him. But then there's like another player running around, and I'm like, it was so weird because I'm like seeing another player that just outside of the anomaly. And then like I see like they're jumping around. They got like a skin that made me think that they're a veteran player, like they've been playing a while. Because I'm like, okay, clearly you must have been playing in order a while to get that skin. And they start saying like in like I guess not chat, but like the automated thing is like I require materials or something like that, like whatever the default material request is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they kept saying, but I didn't notice it right away because I was talking to the NPCs and buying the suit slot upgrade at the station. And I go to him like, he needs materials. I'm like, I wonder if I can inspect this player. So I go up and like I look at them and like there's like, oh, hold square. I'm like, okay. So I go up and I like hold square thinking that I'm going to inspect the character. But instead I hold square and it sent him a group invite. And so then I panicked and I just quickly logged out. And I didn't go back to the game.
Me.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't mean to do that. Get me out of here. So I left. And I played a little bit yesterday as well. But I did pick up Concord. So Concord came out this week. It's the Sony game from Firewalk Studio. It's the 5v5 team shooter, hero shooter essentially. They had like if you buy it on Friday, and I think it's like $40, but if you buy like the deluxe version, you got to play it like early on Tuesday. So I was watching a streamer play it. Because I was curious, like, oh, I wonder how people are playing it. Like there was some Australian folks when it first came out, based on the release date times and whatnot. And then popped in this one streamer, was watching him, was like, yeah, all right, I'll go ahead and I'll pick it up now. Because I didn't want to play the beta because I didn't want to like put a bunch of progress and then have to redo character progress. But I was interested in the game to begin with. So I got the deluxe edition. I played like 4 hours on Wednesday, streamed about an hour of it. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's a weird game because I feel like Sony's not marketing it enough. And I thought like maybe they would do like put more money behind it, like to pay some, big streamers to try it out. Like with like what other companies typically do. Like, hey, we'll pay you to play this game for a bit, like a weekend or whatever, and yada yada
just
yada.
sending out free codes, like, hey, do a stream of this, and here's a free code of it.
Yeah, but like I didn't see any big people play. I saw some kind of, I guess they're not necessarily big, but I recognize their names from like the FPS scene. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. It also is like there's this weird hate towards the game in different areas. Like there's people who don't like it on PC because it's another Sony game that requires your PlayStation account. Now they said up front that it was going to require that, but people are still mad about Helldivers 2 having that later after launch.
Oh yeah, like why is it a requirement? It shouldn't have to be.
Right. So there's this huge boycott on the PC side to like not get it. People are showing like, oh, the Steam numbers are bad, yada yada. I'm curious how it's doing on PlayStation, but it's got crossplay, so I could see when I play it, like I'm playing against people on both platforms. I haven't seen a repeat name at all, and the queue times don't take that long. Granted, it's only 5v5, so you only need 10 people to queue up, but it doesn't take that long to queue. But I'm enjoying it. Like it's fun. I like and people are like, some people don't like the character designs. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to like, there are a lot of games where like, I just don't like the art style. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, I'm sure the game's a little fun, but if I have to look at the art style that I'm not super big on, I'm like, I just can't do it. Right. I don't bash the game for it. I just don't play that game. But I feel like, they don't like the character designs for whatever reason. I'm like, yeah, but part of the thing too is like, you have to have character silhouettes that are identifiable from a distance, so you know who they are. That's why Apex has very unique design for their characters, yada yada. And even in a game that's more realistic, like X Defiant, like because each group has to be, because the characters have skills. Like that's why you need to be able to identify them, to know like, oh, I can tell by this at a quick glance, it's this character, they have this skill set, yada yada. and you know how to, if you need to counter or, you know, inform your team. But a game like X Defiant, like that's a team-based game as well, where each faction has its own unique, you know, perks and what have you. But it's very much like, oh, well, the Echelon group, like they look like Splinter Cell like attire, like it's very black, covert looking stuff. The Libertad, they look like the Guerrillas from Far Cry 6. Like they have a very unique style, even though they're still that real, so you can quickly identify who they are from the get, and so are the, you know, the other ones as well. So like they're easily identifiable by the way they look. So you can't really do it by silhouette in that game, but it's not really that kind of game, I guess. But yeah, some people like don't like the character designs, and they're like, you know, man, babies crying about forced diversity and stuff. Like they, you know, whatever, your opinions don't matter. So it's a weird
but those
like
are the opinions are immediately invalid. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's people who, it's fine not to like the character designs, especially if it's a little more on the cartoony side. It's like that's fine, because there are people who like didn't like Fortnite. Like I didn't like Fortnite's VR look because that cartooniness. I like the idea of PUBG because it was more realistic looking back in the day, but PUBG wasn't on PlayStation and Fortnite was, so I played Fortnite. You know, like I would have played PUBG if it was on console, but or if I had a PC. And then eventually I got over it because I just enjoy the game so much. But yeah, and like there's reviews on Steam where it's like people play for like 0.2 hours or 0.7 hours, like, oh, the game's trash. I'm like, it's a hero team-based shooter that you can't judge off 2 hours. So it's like a bunch of these nonsense opinions. But anyway, I like it. Like it's doing some interesting stuff. And obviously I haven't played like Overwatch, but I played other games with heroes or legends, like again, Apex Legends. I played X Defiant for a while. You know, I've played some of these other stuff, Rainbow Six Siege, where you have unique character abilities and what have you. And what I like what they do so far, and they have this what do they call it? It's like this interesting perk system where like if you pick a character that fits an archetype, like a breacher, or I forget all the names. So it's like breacher, a haunter. So haunter, like they usually like more aggressive kind of players with their abilities and whatnot. But they each have these unique perks. So like one group of characters get like you have increased heals, or like you get more heals anytime you get any healing. There's ones that when you play them, you get increased reload speed, you get increased mobility, you get some other stuff. I'm forgetting like all the different perks you get, but it's incentivizing you to where every time if you die, switch to another character whose, you know, class perk you don't have yet, because they all stack and they carry over. So it's like there's some characters. Usually, what I like to do is I will, depending on the match type, like I'll start as this one character, Jabali, who's like they have a machine gun, they're good. They can throw out this like little healing orb that gets absorbed by your teammates and has like an AOE like slow tick heal that's really beneficial if we're all grouped together hiding, and I have like a damage orb that I can shoot out as well. And then I think his class perk is improved reload speed. I might be mistaken because I can't remember I'm trying to remember all their names too. Is got to be the tough part. Like Apex Legends, I have like all their names locked in my head, but like, oh man, now I gotta learn like all these new character names so I can do the call outs. Like right now, I'm like, oh, the sniper, oh, the rocket launcher one, oh, the shield one. Like I can't remember. I don't know all of them yet. I put like about 10 hours in the game, but yeah, it's really fun. So it's like, okay, I'll roll him, and then if I die, it's like I'll roll this other guy who increases the damage you do over a distance. Because there's, you know, some characters with like an SMGs, like, and there's damage drop off, like typical in games. It's like, oh, it reduces that drop off, so you do more damage at further range. And then after I die on them, I'll switch to another character that increases my mobility, and then I'll do one that increases my, you know, something else like. Again, like I said, reload speed or whatever, some of the other increased healing, what have you. So I'll kind of like rotate. And then depending on who's on my team and what mode we're playing, like if we're playing the capture the zone, where it's like one zone that slowly moves, like, okay, if we have like a big tanky character, like a breacher who's holding down the fort, I will play this one character named Da, who's like a support class where he has the healing pad he can throw down and also like this protective dome that projectiles can't go in or out of. So you can like kind of hold up, and you make like the long range characters, the snipers and whatnot, have to come in order to get the objective back. So it's like, okay, I'll play that, and I'll usually stick with that character. And then again, so it incentivizes you to kind of switch it up. But the problem is because the game's so new, like every time at the end of the round, like you can see if you look on the scoreboard how many class perks each of your teammates have and the enemy. And it's like I finish a game, and usually I like at most I'll have like 3 or 4, because the other thing too is like if you don't die, you're not going to switch characters. So it's like if you survive a lot, like then you don't get those, you don't get this perk. So it's kind of like this nice little like, oh, I'm dying a lot, but I'm getting more perks that improve my survivability, or my damage output, kind of thing. So it's like they're helping me out. So it's kind of like this nice incentive to change. So it's like, and I know like, well, I can clearly see by your player death, you died 8 times, but you only have 1 perk. I'm like, you got to use the perks, man. Like I know, like if you want to learn the game, play the deathmatch, the team deathmatch mode. Like do that. But if you're playing like the control point match, like you need to use those perks. It's definitely a game that I like. I'll play it. I'll probably play it for a while. Like I'm thinking today, I was probably going to stream it for a couple hours. Is that like it definitely would play better with teammates, or at least a little more coordination with Mike. And because right now there's no like hard set meta of like, oh, you always do this, but you can tell like if you get into a match and the other team is like sticking together, even if they're not like the best combo of free gunners, it's like if they're sticking together, usually they're going to dominate. Versus your teammates who like run off and try to do solo stuff. It's like you can't do that, man. You gotta kind of stick together. It's a team based objective game. I haven't tried the other game mode where it's like you get 1 life, and it's like I think there's like a plant the bomb, very Counter-Strike style, and there's another one that's like you have to take over a point, I think, from the enemy team. But again, you only get the 1 life. So I haven't played that one yet. That one's gonna be interesting because then it's like, okay, well you can't use the class perks. You have to just stick with the 1 character, and you can't, because it's a hero shooter, you can't pick the same free gunner and what have you. But one thing they do is that they do have these variants to each of the free gunners that you can unlock by playing them and completing whatever objective it is. And there's multiple variants. I think every character has maybe like 5 or 6. So like for example, there's this one character, Lennox, who's a lot like Michael Rooker's character in Guardians of the Galaxy, it seems, but he's got like a revolver. And he's got 2 you can switch between, but it's like got 6 bullets in the chamber. But every character also has like a dodge ability. Like if you run out of ammo and you do his dodge, it reloads his gun. So it's like, oh, I'm out of ammo, just quickly dodge, and then I got ammo back in my gun. But that dodge has a cooldown. That's one of the other ones. Reduce the cooldown of your dodge ability. That's one of the other class perks. And then like Daw, the healing character, has where if he dodges, he gets a little health back. Or this one character I like a lot named Itzy, if she dodges, she creates like a clone, and then that goes in the opposite direction, so you can like kind of help you get away from enemies and whatnot. So everyone kind of has their own little dodge perk, but his variant is, instead of having the roll dodge, that the dodge that refills your ammo, you get 10 rounds of ammo in your gun instead. So it's like, okay, do you want more ammo up front, or do you want to keep and I forget what his dodge does after that. I think it's just a normal dodge, but that's like his thing. So it's like each one has kind of these own. There's this one character who's like this like fungus looking guy, and he has these little spores. He's like a support character. He has these spores he can put on the ground that gives your teammates haste plus damage resistance. And his normal dodge, I forget what it does, but his variant is where anytime you kill or get an assist, it drops a spore where the enemy died, which is super strong, because when enemies run through the little spore and the AoE it has on the ground, it slows them down. So like they either have to stop and shoot it to destroy it, which gives away their position, also makes them waste some ammo and they have to reload, slows them down, or they don't and they just get slowed down by doing it. So like it's really strong like variant for him, even though his main gun's not that great, but it's a really cool variant. And because of the variants, if someone is playing like Lennox variant 1, I can play Lennox variant 2 in the same round, because we're 2 different, quote unquote characters. Essentially, we're 2 different variants. So it's nice that you can do that. So it's like if you're used to a character, but that character's taken, and usually it's like maybe you rotate through like 4 to get 4 class perks, and then you go back to the one you like, and they're taken. It's like, oh, well, I have the variant. The only downside, and I hope they patch this, is that you can't pick the variant from the character select in match. What you have to do is you have to like build out your quote unquote free gunner team. Mm-hmm. So it's like by default, it's all variant ones. So like if you unlock the variant 2, you pick the variants and you just pick the variant 2 variant, or you can add the one there as well. And you build like a roster, and it puts like some backups on the side. So it's like okay, you gotta build your roster, especially if you have like 5 variants for every character. It's like okay, you're gonna want maybe you like this character, but you want all 3 variants, so you can always use that character, or this one. Like you can kind of do that. But I wish there was a way that they would just let me change it in the character select screen. And maybe that's something they'll change on the line where it's like, yeah, people like to be able to change it. Like just let them, pick the other variants from the jump and not have to make your little crew.
Right.
And it's funny, there's this I do like how unique a lot of the abilities are. A lot of them are very standard that you see. Like I said, Daw with the healing and the dome is very much like Gibraltar's dome in Apex Legends. And then there's one character where Duchess, where this like older lady character who can put up these like walls to block entrances, and then people got to either jump over the walls or shoot the walls to take them down. So you can like block off doorways. Fairly simple. There's the one guy who's just like the soldier dude, like he has a smoke grenade, but he can see through it with his his sight, his ADS lets him see like enemy silhouettes through the smoke, and he has a grenade. Like that's his basic stuff. And I do like some characters with like more offensive abilities. You have to get kills and pick up the drop in order to recharge your stuff, which I kind of like. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like if they're an offensive character, you have to at least get kills or assists to pick up stuff to recharge your abilities. It's an interesting balance thing that they do. But there's this one character who it can be pretty strong, but they're kind of interesting where it's like it's this giant robot. His name's One-Off, and he has like this vacuum weapon where you can, if there's enemy like there's some enemies that have like motion sensors, some have like trip mines or the spores, like I was saying, and you can take the vacuum and you basically vacuum, like instead of shooting them, you vacuum up all these quote unquote trash, as they call it, but it's just the enemy team's deployables, and you recharge your ability, which is this giant bouncing like trash bomb that's really powerful. So it's like, okay, you can recharge it that way by just sucking up all the garbage. He also has like this little like vacuum thing he can throw on the ground where like anytime a projectile comes at you, not projectile, but like a grenade or what have you, it just gets sucked up into that to like prevent it from hitting your team. So it's a great defensive move. But by default, his weapon starts in that vacuum mode. And the other I just totally mind flooded myself. The other version of it is you hit triangle and instead it switches to like a blast mode. So now you're just blasting people with like, air and trash or whatever. And like it does like a little bit damage over time, whatever. But I feel like it should start in that offensive mode, because whenever I see new players who don't read the character card are using him, they just run around and towards people using the vacuum mode, which doesn't do any damage because it's just to destroy deployables around the map. And so it's like they don't do any damage, just run up and they get wrecked. And I'm like, oh, poor dude. They don't know how to use the character. But that's a funny character. Like I said, they seem so silly, but I've played so many game modes where like it's a control point. So it's like it's one objective that we all are running to, but someone has that character and they just throw all of their trash bombs like down an alley at our team and just do so much damage. That it's like, oh man, that is so strong. Of course, they expend a lot of stuff, and then if they die, they just, whatever class perk they get, they just switch over and play as someone else. And it's interesting too, like in Apex Legends, the characters that have bigger hitboxes get like a damage reduction to compensate for the fact that they're easier to hit, and characters with smaller hitboxes have take a little extra damage because they're harder to hit. But in this, what they do is like the heavies, they just have more HP. So they're big, they have more HP, maybe their damage output isn't the best for like One-Off, but like Starchild is this character with like a shotgun, like a ground slam, what have you. Like if you come face to face one-on-one with that character, like you're done. So it takes like the coordination of a couple characters, like take down the heavies, but they're also slower. They don't get the double jump. It's hard for them to like jump and climb up on ledges. So they're very much like they have to stay on the ground to like find the way around. So like they take a while to get to objectives. So it's like the trade-off versus like the speedy characters that have like lower HP, but they're a little harder to hit because they have triple jump and they could dodge better and whatnot and yada yada. So it's interesting balance. Like I'm curious how that'll change over time, but I'm enjoying playing it. Like I'm curious how much Sony's gonna advertise it. Like I feel like they perhaps should have pushed more, or I don't know. But yeah, I'm because obviously they acquired Firewalk. That it's not an internal studio already. Like they just bought them, saying, okay, yeah, we'll fund this. So I'm very curious to see how it does. I mean, I'll just play it still. Like I'll get my money's worth out of it, of course. But I'm enjoying it so far. I did play with a streamer. That's the other thing too that is kind of annoying. Is I was playing with a streamer who was playing it, and he's like, "Oh, I'll play with the followers," and he had like no one was in there, and I was like, "Oh, I'll add you." So I added him on Steam because we were both playing on PC, but because he was using some sort of game Twitch plugin where like you can catch fish, whatever. Like Steam said he was playing as like lurking fish, whatever thing, instead of saying he was playing Concord. I'm like, that's weird. So I couldn't see him. We were friends, and I couldn't see him on the friends list inside Concord. But they have like a recent players tab, and you can see like all the recent players I play with. I'm like, that's when we couldn't figure it out. I was like, that's weird. I can't invite you. He could see me. I'm in there. We couldn't invite each other. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, well, I'll try to queue up at the same time you do, and maybe I'll be able to get into the same game. Then you'll show up on my recent players list, and then we can play that way. So we played for a bit. I was playing some matches. He was playing some matches. And then eventually I got to the point where like I was able to queue up at the same time as him in a match. And sure enough, he was in the match. And then after the match was over, I'm like, oh, there we are, recent players, send me an invite. But we did add, it turns out because it's PlayStation linked, you have to also be friends on PSN in order to see each other in the lobby or in like your friends list. I'm like, that's weird. So I added him, and like I just went to the PlayStation app on my phone, and like you can send an invite, and then eventually I just added on my friends list on PSN. So I'm like, that was a little annoying. It's like I wish I had solved that sooner. Also, it's like for some reason my PC like you can choose your output in the game, and they need to patch this, but you can't choose your input, so it just defaults to whatever your PC has. Now, typically I set my PC to default through my Stream Deck mixer a certain way, but for some reason it defaulted to my PS5 controller mic, and I didn't know that the whole time. So I was like muting and unmuting my mic when I would do stuff, but I'm like holding, and I had a fan on low that was kind of blowing on me from my desk, and I'm like, I didn't even realize it. Like I tried to listen to his stream because he had me playing back, and I sounded like he could hear me. I did sound low, so I'm like, man, why does my Elgato mic sound so bad? It was like I couldn't understand what's going on there. So I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't even pay attention to it. But I noticed like when we were in the lobby that I was like, why is my mic like showing that I'm talking sometimes when I'm muted? I'm like, that's weird. And then I realized later when I went back into a match after, I by default, it doesn't make you join voice chat in a game if you're not in a group. So I turn on voice chat and I realized like, oh, it's using my controller mic. And I was like, oh man, I hope I didn't like bust answer at all at any point during that. And just on stream, just like that'd be no good. But so I think I fixed that by just going into Windows and turning off it even as an option. Like, do not use this input ever. Like, never.
Just totally disable it.
Yeah, I just disabled it. So I don't know if that'll fix it, because typically what I'll have to do is like I put my PC default as, use essentially the stream output from my Stream Deck, and or I'll go in and set an app manually, like Discord. I'll set like just use the mic, or what have you. So I gotta troubleshoot that. But again, you can't choose the mic in the menu, so they need to fix that. That was a little frustrating. But yeah, that was annoying. So, but managed to hopefully get over that. But yeah, like when at least you were playing with a team, I feel like that's where the game's going to do the best. Because yeah, like I said, when you're playing against a team who's like more coordinated, even if they're not necessarily communicating, but they're just sticking together, it's like they're just going to do so much better. But I'm enjoying it. Like, it's fun. Like I like the characters look great. It's Unreal Engine 5. Like, they look fantastic, even on PS5. Like, they still look really good. And I like the character designs too. Like, it's interesting. Some of them, yeah, they look like this is an interesting design. But like, I like Itzy's design. I like Lennox. Like I said, Jabali. A lot of really good designs. And like, there's like only one like military white guy, and I'm sure people are like, oh, there's not enough white people in this game. Like they're gonna be all mad about that because
Shut
they're dumb.
up.
Exactly. It's like you don't deserve an opinion. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's fun so far. Like I said, I'll be curious how long I'll stick with it. Just because I feel like if a meta arrives too quickly, I'll drop off. Because it's like, okay, if I can't play with friends, then I'm gonna because I played X Defiant for a while on both PS5 and PC, and then because I went on vacation, I didn't get back to it. I'm like, okay, I've been gone for so long. I'm like, I'm not gonna go back to this. I haven't played Apex in so long, and because I'm not playing any multiplayer shooters, I'm like, it was just nice. Like, let's get on something on the ground floor, and play this, because then it's like, okay, I can learn this, learn the maps, and then
everybody's learning at the same time.
Exactly, yeah, and just have fun playing it. But it's funny, when I was streaming, it was like, a couple people pop in, whatever. But then there was like this one person popped in, and they were talking like, oh, chat. I'm like a little chatty, but I was like, are they a bot? But they have the TwitchCon 2023 badge. I'm like, maybe not. But they're like, chatting like, oh, my PS5 broke, yada yada, this and that. I'm like, okay. And then after a while, they hit me with the, hey, you want to improve your, stream or channel at all? And I'm like, I got some ideas. And I'm like, all right. And in my head, I was like, all right, here we go. I'm like, yeah, what do you got in mind? And like, it took them forever to type it. And I was like, go away, you still typing? And like, time, I'm like, if you're gonna have this pitch, shouldn't you just have it copy pasted? But
would you have a copy pasta?
Yeah, they're an artist, and they're saying like, yeah, you want me to design anything for you, like icons, banners, yada yada. And I went to their profile, which had a link to their Twitter. And I browsed, and like, okay, clearly they are an art, like they're a real person, it seems, yada. They're just going around to like random low viewer Twitch folks and asking them if they want some work done or whatever. But I was like, nah, it's good. But yeah, and then they bounced. But I just thought it was really funny. I was like, you came in hot, you're talking a lot. I was like, all right, what's getting all little buddy here? What's
the catch?
What's the catch? But yeah. Again, I'm probably gonna stream some more today. Might bounce around and stream some other things. I just got to figure out because I'm gonna have a couple hours because the kids and whatnot are going with the in-laws to a baseball game for a few hours. I'm like, I'll stream Concord for a couple hours, and I was like, maybe I'll stream like Talos Principle 2 or something else. I don't know. Isley was able to play. I was like, maybe do some multiplayer game, because we haven't, like, Fallout 76, because he's like, we should play that, and he got it. We just haven't played it together. But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. I was trying to see if I had any other notes here for game stuff, but yeah, no, it was good. And man, it sucked. Like on when was it? Tuesday night. So I picked it up Tuesday night, I installed it before I got the kids ready for bed. I was like, all right, I got it installed. I'm gonna end up playing it as soon as I get them done. They get done, I get them like, okay, hey, take care of some stuff, do some dishes, yada yada. And I go to sit down, and I go to sit in my chair, and as soon as I sit down, 2 of the legs just break off. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I had this chair for like a year and 3 months. And it's like, it breaks. I can't fix it. So I'm like, great. And it's like, almost 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, Best Buy's closed. I'm like, I can't get a chair there. I'm just going to have to go like, okay, Target's open. Let's just see what chairs they got. Okay, they got a chair, a little office chair. I'll just go get that. Go to Target, pick it up, get back home. I spend the rest of my night putting the chair together, and got no game time done. I was like, I was all set, ready to play this game, and just my fucking chair breaks.
That's such a usually when you see that, you're like, oh, I sat down, I got ready to play the game. Oh, one of the kids is up, they're sick, something came up, I was just doing something else. But it's like, no, I literally sat down to play the game, and things fell apart around me.
Yeah, it was annoying. Or like, oh, internet goes down, or the game has an update, you can't play it yet, or servers are down, or
yeah, there's like a myriad of other things that happen so commonly, rather than just like, my setup fell apart.
Yeah, it was obnoxious. But yeah, I got that together. But then like, they don't, we don't have like a you can't throw away furniture, and I don't think our complex has like an agreement with any sort of junk collectors, which is you'd think they'd want to do. Like, we don't want people throwing furniture in the trash, because the waste management folks get pissed off at us and don't take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want us to do it, why don't you just give us a discount at some local place, they'd want to do it because then they get more money, yada yada. Anyway, so whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, I got this damn chair that's broke. I was like, I can't throw it in the trash, and I don't want to call it because there's a minimum pickup. Like last time I got something taken away, it was like my mattress, my bed frame, some box springs. Like when we got a new bed, it's like I'll take that, get that thrown away. I'll pay for that because that's a bunch of big bulky stuff. And I think I had maybe like one other thing. So it's like, okay, it's worth having it picked up. I'm like, this damn chair. I was like, you know what? I just fucking took that chair apart, man. I pulled all the wheels off, took the legs apart, took out the arms. I cut up all the seats, took out all the foam, put them in bags. I just tore that thing apart. And then that way, I'm like, if I piecemeal it, I could just throw it all away because it's not one bulky piece of furniture. Like we throw away the foam, throw away the vinyl, whatever the seat was made out of. I can throw away the wheels. Like it's all piecemealed. And I'm like, the only thing I have is the metal piece that goes in the bottom for the cylinder. Like that, I have that I got to do something with because that's like, that doesn't come apart enough. And I'm like, all right, I got this dumb metal thing I got to deal with eventually. But the rest of the chair, I just took that shit apart and cut it up and threw it away.
It's like getting rid of a body. You gotta chop it up into little pieces and then distribute it between.
I rolled it up in a carpet. And I had a bunch of coins, John Wick style. I paid for it to be taken care of. Did a reservation for one.
I gotta break this down and spread it out so nobody can trace it back to me.
That's right. Put it in multiple different places. But yeah, so I did that. And this current chair I got, like, it's okay. And obviously, it's just like a $70 chair from Target.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that it sits more upright than my old chair, which is the only thing I didn't like about that chair. And I forget where I got it. It was from because I was like, did I get this from Amazon? They're like, no, it's from some website, but I forget what website. I think it might have been the same. I don't know if you shared the website with me or someone else. Like, I forget how I found the website for the chair. But yeah, like this one, like it's okay. It doesn't go as low as the other one did. But I do like that it sits up higher. It's got a mesh back, which is nice, I guess, for airflow. And it's a fabric cushion seat, not a fake leather seat on the other one. So it's like it's okay, but I don't know how long I'll stick with it. I mean, I don't really want to go shopping for, or Herman Miller or some nonsense, but I'll probably just stick with this for a while. Like it's doing okay, and then maybe I'll get a new one down the line.
I mean, I got mine from IKEA, and it wasn't super cheap. I think it was like just under $200, maybe like $150, something like that. And it's fine. I mean, other than the fact that I didn't fully put it together because I didn't want the armrests, and apparently that's like they're like load-bearing armrests, and I did snap it in half at one point, the back, while playing, because that's why I asked. I was like, were you playing Baldur's Gate? Oh my god, they're cursed. It's like, because that's what we were playing. And I snapped it in half, but once I put the arms on it, it's totally fine now. It's stable again, but it's just okay.
Yeah.
I got it mostly because it matches my desk and everything, so aesthetics over functionality, always.
Yeah, and it was my old one was like it was slowly falling apart. Like I could see like where the fabric was adhered to like the particle board that's on the inside of the frame. Like it was starting to slowly tear. I'm like, it's a chair, man. I'm not like beating this thing up. I'm just sitting down in it. Like I don't understand how it's slowly getting these tears in the chair. Like I can understand like how is this falling apart? Like after such a short amount of time. I was like, I like even though I was working from home for the majority of its life cycle, like again, I'm not doing anything crazy with this damn chair. Like I don't understand, but anyway, we'll see how this one goes. But and then just checking my notes real quick. So the rant portion, ranting about the chair. And the other thing I want to rant about was it's Geico. I was trying to trying to see do I want to change my car insurance because they say like, oh, usually you can save money if you change. A lot of people change like every 6 months, whatever. I'm like, all right, let's see who's got some cheaper car insurance. Like, apparently no one. I can't find anything cheaper for the coverage I've currently got. It's all more expensive. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to figure out some ways to save some money. But I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, your policy's coming up. Oh, here's your charge that's due on the 1st. And it's like 2x, 2 months worth, and then they charge me for 4 months after that. I'm like, but my plan says I'm on 6 months. So I'm looking on the thing. I'm like, you're on the 6-month payment plan. And then underneath it, it's like true 6-month payment plan with auto pay. And I'm like, okay, so you give me this nonsense, quote unquote, 6 months, but the first month of the policy, I pay 2 months in 1 month, and then once a month after that for 4 months, and then nothing on the last one, and then the policy renews. But in order to do the true one, I have to go to, auto payments. I'm like, okay, let's set up auto payments then. And I go to do that, and it's like, all right, you're set up, you want to set up for auto pay? Your first payment will be on 9/1 for 2 months worth of payments. I'm like, no. It says on the app, it should be the 1 month worth of payments. So like for some reason it's not working. It's like I like call them and yell at them and be like, what the fuck? Like I want to go to auto pay.
Too fucking complicated. Like they can't even figure it out. That means it's too fucking complicated. Chill out.
It's also such a bullshit thing. I'm like, this isn't 6 months. You're lying to your consumers. This is 5 months that you're doing for 6 months coverage. Like you're making me pay 2 months worth at once for the first month, and then like that's not how 6 months works. Like it even says 6 months. Like it's 6 payments. Like this is bullshit. I feel like this is like some sort of violation. But anyway, so I got to call them and figure that out. But yeah, it was just an annoyance. I'm like, this is such horse shit. I'm like, come on, man.
They make it like intentionally complicated, and then they're gonna try to like talk out of it, be like, oh no, you didn't understand. This is how it actually works. Blah blah blah. It's too complicated. Shut up.
Yeah.
We don't change our car insurance. We just leave it because we have AAA anyway. So it's like, whatever. Just let it. Make sure it's the same price every month, and if it's not the same price, yell at them. But as long as it's the same price, who fucking cares? I can't deal with it.
I've had Geico since forever, and it's like it's never been too bad. And like over time, it's slowly gone up. Not like a lot, but like it's cheaper than any. Because I tried shopping around, and it's like it's cheaper than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so I'm clearly getting a decent deal, but yeah, it's just like that was just annoying me. And then I was trying to think, what if I like refinance my car because it's going to be paid off in like 3 years. But it's like, okay, I can get some like decent cut down, but like the terms become 8 years, and I'm like, I know obviously I'm going to be paying a couple thousand in interest, which is why you refinance is to get the lower monthly payment. But I'm like, I don't want to go to 8 years. I'm like, let me go lower. And it's like, but then even then it's like, okay, well, you can refinance to 4 or 5 years, but it's like, it's not enough drop in payments. So I'm like, I'm not going to refinance then if it's going to be this bullshit. But I've been looking at like switching over to like Mint Mobile to see like, because it's like if I'm at work, I just listen to stuff. I don't need like big bandwidth. And when I'm at home on my Wi-Fi, it's like I don't use my phone a whole lot anywhere else. I'm like, I'm sure the coverage is fine for Mint, and they're cheap. They make you pay like 3 months at a time. And like, hey, 3 months worth up front, very similar to Geico's doing, and then you're good. It's like you pay in chunks. It's like $15 a month or whatever. So I'm like, I could switch. I just got to see if I can save any money that way. Maybe I guess we should try to combine our Verizon to like a family plan, see if that saves any money. But
what do you pay now?
What do I pay? I don't know I know the total is like 86.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like I have unlimited, which I think is like 50, and then you have like $30 in dumb other miscellaneous fees.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so annoying when you shop for something like, oh, here's our $50 plan. It's like, but then you have this other plan, the other fee on there. That's just the data, and then you got the line fee, and then these government fees and all this other. I'm like, come on, man.
I know, just fucking be upfront about it. Because we pay for 2 lines, both on unlimited. We pay $80 through Google Fi, and that, yeah, and that. We just recently did that because normally we were on the cheaper plan where it was like for 2 lines, it was a base, I think like $40-$50 or something like that, but you pay for the data. And I was usually ending up using a lot of data because I am obviously listening to music and podcasts and stuff at work, and the Wi-Fi sucks. So I was going on data a lot. So I just went on unlimited data, and that way I can, play Star Rail while I'm out doing stuff and Monster Hunter 2. But yeah, I just switched it recently, so now it's like a flat 80 for both of us.
Interesting. Yeah, I see like I see.
But like if you don't use a lot of data, Google Fi is super cheap. There were some months where we were paying more than $80, mostly anytime we like went out and went on trips or anything like that, obviously because you're using more data. But there were some months where our bill was like $50 or $60.
Yeah, I see here they have like a $80 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it says unlimited data with slower data after 35 gigs per person. I'm like, that's fine. It probably won't go over past 35 gigs.
Yeah, there's no way.
Free text from the US to over 200 destinations. It's got international feature. Unlimited data calls, text within US, Canada, Mexico. But then they have the unlimited plus, which is 110 for 2. That includes so that has unlimited hotspot tethering.
Mm-hmm.
Calls from the US to 50 destinations. 6 months of YouTube Premium Plus on us. Unlimited shareable data with tablets, and gigabyte storage on Google One.
Even with the cheapest plan where you pay per data, it caps out at a certain point. I think it caps out at like 10 gigabytes or something like that. So the highest your bill would ever be, or the highest our bill would ever be, we only capped it out once, and I think it was like $150 or something like that. So it's like, but it's the most unrestricted, so you can hotspot as much as you want. It has like roaming or whatever, so if you travel out of the country, you can use your data and stuff like that. But yeah, you pay per gigabyte. So it's like if your bill is always under $60 every month, and then once a year it caps out at 150, I think that's a better deal. But obviously for me, I'm at work so much and I'm away from the Wi-Fi a lot recently. It's like it was worth it to just do the unlimited and pay the even fee. That way we don't have to worry about trying to watch the data or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll have to look at like
I have a referral code if you would like to switch.
Yeah, I gotta check to see what the family plans are, right? Because I feel like trying to browse it. I was trying to do that like a couple months ago. Like, let's look at family plans, and like it was so not straightforward on their site. It was so annoying. I'm like, I just want to look at 2 lines. Tell me what it is. And like, it was just such a fucking pain in the ass.
They want you to talk to a representative so they can try to sell things to you.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I'll have to look at that. But anyways. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there then. Enough ranting about chairs and Geico and phone carriers. But and hopefully we'll get some, like I said, Gamescom coverage gone since the opening night live. I'm sure there'll be some more write-ups on, impressions. I'm looking forward to next week listening to because there were some podcasts from people at the show, but they're usually not structured quite the same because they're more like hectic because they're live at the location. So I'm looking forward to next week when they have like more normal discussions for what they saw and what they played. So and it's funny, I forgot to mention going back to Concord with the character design, but like Deadlock was officially revealed, which is Valve's new game, which is like a third-person shooter MOBA. But I'm like, people are whining about the characters. I'm like, but I'm looking at the characters and that. I'm like, it's the same thing. Like, they're cartoony, even more cartoony than in Concord. So it's just like, okay, whatever. But we'll see what. I'm curious how that's going to do.
It feels like people are just nitpicking to have something to complain about. It's like, I don't like this thing, and I can't justify why I don't like it, so I'm going to nitpick. It's fine to just not like something. You can just not like things. It's okay.
Yeah, just don't talk about it. Don't go on the channels and talk about it being bad, saying how, it should be free to play. Like, yeah, from one standpoint, I kind of get that, but it's like $40, you get the whole thing, season pass, all future content, like whatever. It's like, just because it's a different model, it's like, yeah, you're not going to get all as many players because you're not free to play, but I think people are just so used to free to play and what have you.
It's entitlement is all it is.
Yeah. But anyways, at least it's, I guess that'll be the other thing is like knowing that everybody's playing, they paid for it. It's like, okay, clearly, they got the money and the time. But anyway. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So thanks for all tuning in. Thank you, Saya, for joining. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.